Hi there, guys, and welcome to the Chronicles of Gamers, episode 92. This is a podcast where we love to explain our love-hate relationship with video games. And I am, of course, your host, Efocutioner. And guess what, guys? Guess what? I got a guest! Oh, I'm gonna stop right there. I got Veronica Flint on. Some of y'all are wondering, who is Veronica Flint? First of all, for shame. How do y'all not know? She is the tech wonder, the genius, the queen of VR. And I'm calling her that because I've definitely done some research. And man, this is one person who has really worked hard and is a self-study, self-taught, managed to get herself in the industry with her own bootstraps, determination, and will. My gosh. And I managed to get her on. So, Veronica, say hi to the people, man.
Hello, listeners of this podcast. This is Veronica Flint.
It's okay, man. She's a little shy. She got a smile on her face of the way I hyped her up.
This is Veronica Flint, and I am here on this podcast.
Nice. Well, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling very good. I had a hike this morning, so that was good. I only went halfway in because I had to come back for this interview, so that's fine. So, but yeah, I'm excited to be here and just to talk about myself in the industry.
I mean, of course, you know what? As VR has always been emerging, but now it seems like the general public is becoming more receptive of it, and especially with the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox coming out, I feel like a lot of people are still kind of on that confused bust or not too sure. So I figured, like, why not get some experienced mind to express the importance, the love of VR outside of like VR Troopers or something. So.
Oh yeah, VR Troopers. Is that the show on Fox Kids or something like that?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
See, she knows all that. See, this is great. This is golden.
Nice.
So, Veronica, you know what? I got to ask this question. I feel like I ask this for every guest that comes on. Mm-hmm. What was the first game you've ever played, and what was your favorite console?
Okay, so the first game I think I remember playing was either, I think it was Super Mario Brothers 3. It was either that or Miss Pac-Man, but I do remember I was either 2 or 3, and I remember climbing up the stairs of the neighbor's apartment to go and see what games they were playing. I do remember playing and seeing people like, oh, we're playing Super Mario Brothers 3. So when I replay the game, like maybe a decade later, I remember the tunes and the visuals of it. So that was my first game I remember playing. And then the first game console I've ever owned was the Super Nintendo, which had Aladdin on it. And so I guess that would be my first owned console and game that I first had when I was 5. So, but yeah, I think the first game I played, I was probably like 2 or 3 maybe. So, yeah.
Okay. So,
maybe 3, yeah.
Been a gamer since 3 years old. That's impressive, man. I gotta say,
yeah.
You might be me. I was a gamer at 4, but was you playing Super Mario? Was that the catalyst that like got you into the industry or made you want to go into the industry?
No, I think the catalyst was when I played Spyro the Dragon when I was 9.
Oh,
and once I saved the first dragon on that first level, I think it was Artisan's World. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he does the spiel, the exposition of what you have to do in the game, and then he zaps, and that's like turns into a zap point. And that was like the moment where I was like, oh, this is better than just you're in the world. This is better than just watching a passive experience. You're in it and you have control,
right.
And that's way more better. And so that was, and as I got a little bit older, like 9 and 10 and 11, I would read magazines and get more research onto how they made it, and so. I'd look at the back of the game copy and go see who developed it. And it says, oh, Insomniac Games. And then on the next to it says Cerny Games. And so, I'll do research and all that. stuff and go, oh, Insomniac games, they're on the Universal lot. Oh, that's 10 minutes from where I live. Well, one day I'll sneak on there and see how they make the game. That never happened. But yeah, I've always liked the magic of creating stuff like that. So yeah.
All right. So then, you know what? I've read that you were, when you first started off, you actually started off using Unity. And what's interesting is, like, you talked about how Spyro was that game that really inspired you to go into the video game industry. But what made you go from learning Unity to going into motion capture versus going into programming games? Because most would program or want to make a game based off the game that inspired them. But you decided to do something opposite, which is actually very impressive.
Right. Yeah. I did learn Motion Builder before learning the game engine, because I guess at first I thought the game engine was more. It seemed like it would be more challenging to learn.
Okay.
And I already knew Maya and animation and computer graphics and modeling back in school, and so to transition from that into learning another software which was similar to Maya was easier to step in. But I also wanted to get into previs, layout, and animation. Because I've always wanted to do the cinematics in games. And I originally, when I was in college, I thought maybe getting into cinematics in games first could also, and getting that type of job at a game company would lead me into also working my way up into as a game designer or creative designer. And so merging that with design and like seeing how, or working with developers at a company and seeing how doing cinematics or animations within game design would work, but it was pretty broad and like figuring out how that would work. So, but yeah, I learned, and I also liked motion capture and virtual production, now as a term that now people call it.
Okay.
So I was doing that, but and then it wasn't until I really wanted to learn Unity eventually, and it wasn't until Unity, I was looking for like some way, like information, how to like get to learn how to do any sort of game development tool. So I did eventually find that Unity was offering free classes or a full day class on Introduction to Unity and build a 2D platformer or build something out of Unity.
Okay.
So I took one of those classes that Unity held, and it was at Microsoft. And, I already have some foundations and fundamentals of creating 3D content within Maya and Mobu that it was pretty easy to just understand how the workflow works. So, yeah, after that, I was able to, like, use what I've already learned and use the game engine to create whatever, I would like to create. Simple stuff starting out, but yeah, Unity was my first game engine I learned.
Okay. And
because I already have a background in mocap and animation, I was able to eventually find some freelance gigs that utilized Unity and character animation.
What was the name of the first game you made with Unity, if you remember?
Oh, the first game. I mean, the first game I probably made wasn't a major title. It was really super indie game.
Nah, come on, be proud of it. I want to know. Come
on. Let's see.
Even if it doesn't have a name.
Man, what was the first game I made? I mean, I remembered like the first Unity project I did that got. It was this interactive piece for Penny Dreadful,
okay.
The TV show on Showtime, and so I was helping that particular client out with laying out and creating all these different animation clips and triggering all these different animation clips using the Kinect. Oh yes, that's another thing. I used the Kinect a lot. Actually, that was my first foray into creating motion capture because I was super young, super broke, and the only way to create mocap was the Kinect. So I was creating motions with the Kinect, and I was I was creating some different types of motions for different clients, and but but the first game, I don't even remember, because I know I've made like paper prototypes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. I guess the first game I've ever made was this one called Finding. Maybe was it Finding Monsters? I think that was the first one.
Fighting Monsters?
There's this game called Finding Monsters that never got released. But you're basically you're a little child, and you go in your grandma's house, and you discover that there's little monsters hiding around in that home at night. And so, but they're like mostly cute, and you're going around collecting little items to unlock a key to like another door. And it was, but the character designs were really interesting. They were really nice to look at. And but yeah, I think that was like the first real game with the team where I'm actually really proud of the work that they've done. So yeah.
It's spooky.
I figured that's a good thing to talk about too, since we're already close to Halloween too. So, ooh. I mean, if you can manage to find it, maybe you could upload it just to be like, hey, you want to check out
I do have it was an Android Google Cardboard. I have an APK, so could upload it. But it's a little prototypey, but the designs look good for its time.
All right, let's see. So. Well, since you said you were teaching yourself Unity and stuff like that, and at the same time, I believe you had graduated college. Was it? I believe it was 2012, 2013 at that time, and you were taking 2 years. I mean, during that time period, you were learning Unity with that motion capturing experience that you have, and then that's how you created your game. During that time, while you were bettering yourself, you also were a game tester, which is very surprising. That is a very hard thing to get into. But at the same time,
game testing is hard to get at.
Yeah, being a QA, so. I have a hard time trying to, like, I've done it. I've never even gotten a callback. So I find that very impressive. Anyone that can get into QA just like to get your foot through the door, that's highly impressive. So,
I was very happy and fortunate to at least try it out and be exposed to the inner workings of a game development studio. So that was really cool.
So how was your experience of being a QA? And how did you manage to balance being a QA while teaching yourself Unity at the same time? If you were able to do that.
That's a good question, because I didn't actually get to have the time to teach myself until maybe after QA. It was like in between, because like a lot of times the companies would let go QA testers after the game has gone gold or ships, and so a lot of times when I had that downtime, I had even more time to myself to just like, all right, use what I bought this computer. I'm gonna use it for something good besides using it as a computer. I'm gonna actually like download software and like learn and go on the YouTube or digital tutors or any other website tutorials like Windows. But yeah, QA. The experience of QA, there's usually a lot of overtime hours. It's from what I remember, especially towards at least like for like the next 6 months before the game releases. It's like just a lot of long hours.
Yeah.
So, but
that's why I say it's
the
impressive.
experience is pretty good. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I still say that's impressive. Like, even though you said you didn't have that much time, but when you did have time, you still kept at it. You still kept going. So, like, I find that, like, yo, shout out to all QA, any QA testers. But after that part, March 2014, I know you say that's not your time of your big break from the animator point of view, and we even talked about it a little bit before the recording. You were kind of confused on which one was your big break. I still say, I think being that 3D animator and then pushing yourself to that next level. But when you were able to get the position at. I can't even find the name. I can't find the company that I tried to look up for. You're the first company that you got in for the 3D animator. Like, it's nowhere to be found anymore. But did you have a portfolio when you first went into the position? And when you did have that portfolio, how much work did you have with it? And then how'd you feel during the interview process? Because I know that could be a little bit nerve-wracking, being self-taught and having that thing in the back of your head saying, like, am I good enough? Did I do enough work? Or do I have everything together? You know, compared to other people.
Yeah, so I just remember like freelancing a lot, just finding whatever gigs I could, because that was at the time when I moved and got my own place with a roommate. So it was like, oh, great! So I got these gigs lined up. I'll be able to pay my rent every month. So and so I was able to find these animation freelancing gigs online through there was like there was freelance website. It was either Elance or Odesk, and so I would just scout and look for, and I was getting all these gigs, and yeah, I did. I before or after I had a portfolio. I had a reel. I believe I had a reel or some sort of like animation sample package that I would just message the client and say, yeah, here's some animation clips I've done in the past. Either as like video renders or a package. It's like, okay, and then they'll just hire me. Can you create this? And like, yeah, I can create that. And like, okay, cool. And then and I would just animate, edit, process whatever I need. I didn't realize that the Penny Dreadful gig was probably like the. Like, oh, look, a big clients, and this is the installations in LA and New York, and then that was pretty cool. And then after that, okay, yeah, I think back in like around June, I believe, was when I got right after that gig, I got a job at this VFX startup studio. I was out of an apartment, but they had maybe minimum maybe 8-10 people. I don't remember the count, but there were all young people like me, working and building a portfolio, but they were really good. They had senior level leader or a few senior level co-owners that were running the studio. And so I got to learn a lot, and I remember I had an interview with Digital Domain that same month or week I started, and it was for Unity generalist gig, and they're like, yeah, we're doing this project called The Jungle Book, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I never heard back. And then how many years later I find out from that girl that interviewed me with another guy, I was like, oh yeah, we actually never hired anybody for that role. Like, I was like, oh. So I was like, oh, missed opportunity again. But I did learn that VFX studio that was doing games VFX and for commercials or short films or whatever. I would have gotten the same experience learning, just not on a higher tentpole level. But I was still learning a lot of things I didn't learn in the past, with the pipeline of working with my CG artists, riggers or compositors, and working with things like plates and all these different layers of composition and how you integrate that with the CG asset pipeline. So I got to learn a lot more than what I would have learned at being a QA tester. That's for sure.
Of course, hands down. So you mentioned Maya quite a bit. Was that like one of the programs that you were using while you were learning, or was that something that you had learned beforehand? Or do you have any?
Yeah, Maya was the first. No, not the first. That Maya was the one I learned in college. The first 3D software I learned was 3ds Max in high school when I had a video game development class when I was in the 11th grade, and then. And that's, in high school is where I learned that in Photoshop and a couple in Flash at the time. So, but then in college, I took a Maya introduction to Maya and Maya rigging, lighting rigging, also all these different Maya courses. and that because I knew a lot about how Maya worked within that package, it was easy for me to just transition into Unity, and it had all the same similar foundations of how Maya works. So, and same thing with Motion Builder. It's also similar to like having all these different takes. Unity was able to read and understand that language because and Unity's also used a lot in motion capture,
Really?
like Avatar and Jungle Book, and I think I would have to say because I think the developer of Motion Builder helped develop Unity's animation pipeline, which is interesting. So, but yeah, that's also I really think Maya's pretty good. I recommend people who are still learning how to get into 3D to just add Unity, like maybe just go with Maya, or at least learn Maya first before getting into Unity. But if you learn Unity first and you want to learn 3D software, Maya is good. The problem is like it's not free unless you're doing it for educational or non-commercial. It's like basically like a non-commercial version of Maya that you can learn to use. Okay. But as far as like professional use, they have like the LT version and the full version. So that's a little expensive for some people. But Blender is free. It's open source.
Okay. Wow. So I was actually curious on the Maya Unity thing, but if it's actually that really easy of a cross connection, that's beautiful, man. Like, man, wow. So, of course, you learning about motion capturing as well. We talked about it a bit. I do want to talk about this. I was really proud of this. I ended up watching the skit, the Metroid Skyfall skit.
Oh yeah.
I gotta say, so that was actually pretty nice. I'm wondering, like, so when Samus was like being pulled up into the air by the light, was the actor or the actress like in a harness, and how were you able to capture that moment? And like, was that like a different?
I mean, a lot of that stuff can be done in post, like keyframe.
Okay.
I was on it during the post end of it. Mm-hmm. But no, I don't think that would have been done. That would have been a lot expensive because it was a pretty low budget short film, and the director did all the post and VFX, and he was the director. I was like handling like the motion capture data and editing it and delivering it with the Samus character. But yeah, a lot of that type of stuff. You could do that. But like, whatever, is it better to just keyframe it, or is it better to capture it on stage? And then you have like the thing with costs and resources as well. So, yeah, things like that can be done much more easily, using keyframe. So.
Okay, all right. Well, I just wanted to say I thought you did an amazing job. I didn't even know that was low budget. Then kind of didn't look low budget to me. So damn. Very impressive. But I just wanted to bring that up, but I didn't want to bring it up super right away. So, I gotta ask the main questions first. But actually, I'm kind of curious. Have you done motion capturing at all yourself?
Like as the actor, like in the suit?
Yeah.
Oh, kinda. I mean, I've never been like a real motion capture hack. Puts on the suit with the balls, and here I am for the day. Not professionally, but I mean, there were times where if I'm doing markerless motion capture, I would perform and do the MC Hammer dance, or sorry, I put that image in your head, but but yeah, no, not like I don't think I put on the marker suit. So, one time there was the studio I worked at, and they had a face-based system.
Okay.
Which is similar to with the balls, but it's red LED lights. I've been in that suit and performed some stuff, but nothing used probably nothing used in the final. But yeah, I would like to like do it on a more like actor-ish level and play an actor. Or be an actor in mocap. That would be interesting. But that's I already know plenty of actors that could fill in that role for me. So, yeah.
But they're not you. Yo, man, you got to put on the suit. One day, I would like for you to put on the suit.
All right. I'll put on the suit, take a picture of myself in the suit, and
all right, well then there we go, folks.
I have a lot of friends who do that. And just go on social media and start posting themselves in suits like, hey, I'm in this secret NDA project to be announced. Can't talk about it, but look at me for today.
Okay, true. That would definitely be for social media attention. Actually, speaking of that, since you have produced and like, how have you managed to? Because you talked a little bit about the actors and actresses in motion capture. Have you ever had like a difficult like person while you were trying to do the motion capture at all, where it was like really hard for you to portray like what you wanted them to do, and was it like hard for you to capture the data because of that for motion capturing?
A difficult person in their performance or their personality, or
I'd say performance. Personality is, you know, I don't want to. We don't want to go too deep on it, but we'll say.
Okay. That's a very good question. We were pretty prepared to know what to expect before shooting, or we kind of knew and understood the pros and cons of different mocap technologies or suits that we were going to use. So there were a lot of times, this is like pretty like common. Like if you have like a mocap actor doing things where they're on the ground, doing all these fast movements where sometimes the camera sensors that are on the wall wouldn't catch.
Yeah.
That would happen sometimes. And then I'll also like the cleanup process in the post after shooting was actually got really pretty challenging. But as far as like the performer, we were I don't know. I mean, I never to take either performance or technically. We would just have to reshoot every once in a while.
Okay.
There were times where we had the stage was pretty small or like not big enough to do a long enough walking pattern of like in the CG environment. It's really big, but when they're walking through the path, you know, on the actual stage, you know, you're just going to be walking towards the end of the wall, so you'd have to like figure out a clever way to like just loop it, or like have the actors like turn around and then walk this way to create that they're walking endlessly, or not endlessly, but like continuing the path. That was challenging, but you know, we had some actors who were more actors, not fighting stunt people, so we'd have to get like, you know, all right, you're gonna do the fight scene for this particular character, and the actual actor that asked for the role and the voiceover would just do the more character-based performance on the stage, while the the more action-driven fighting movements were done by, you know, pro stunt people, fight choreography people. So, but yeah, we were able to just plan that out ahead, so that was good. Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you've, even though you're always prepared, and it doesn't seem like you have really too much of a difficult time. I mean, you really seem to have fun, like being able to do the motion capturing and being able to connect that from your Unity experience. So, my question is like, what made you like from going from motion capture to VR? How did that happen? Like, what?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So the interesting thing is, virtual reality and motion capture are very together. Because in the beginning, back in the USC stage of like their world building immersive lab, they would use motion capture technology to place markers on the head-mounted display and props. So you're building out virtual worlds essentially, I mean, computer graphics is virtual,
Of course.
but yeah, they're and then motion capture. They're just capturing real life. It's like live action, but you're not printing on celluloid film or video or anything like that. So you're in the world, and they use VR practices or VR in when they're making movies like Avatar or whatever. Using the virtual camera to move, and the virtual camera is basically the VR headset. So, which is what I originally wanted to do. Like, I want to do like virtual cinematography or whatever. Or production, but then VR happened back in when they announced the Kickstarter, and then they had the development kit 1 released back in 2014.
2014.
So 2014, yeah. So 2014 was the year when I actually got into virtual reality as far as like trying. Well, I mean, I first tried it back in 2013, back at like E3 and Indiecade.
Right.
But as far as like hands-on. Like 2014 was when I actually got to tinker around with the Oculus Rift DK2 headset. So and I was looking at that the VFX startup. That's when I got to use the VR headset and start checking out some awesome VR experiences. And then 2015 is when I got to work at this VR startup called Informatic Group.
Okay.
And because I had previous experience with motion capture, the founder of that company brought me on to, figure out how to use their motion capture system to use for their project. And I said, yeah, I'm available. I can record some motions for you. And then at that VR immersive journalism startup is where I met Ari Karzog, who was at USC, and he wanted to learn how to use motion capture, and so that's where we met. And we started playing around and learning how to use mocap and with these VR projects. But I also had a background in Unity, and so they knew that I knew Unity. They were like, okay, maybe you could be a VR. You'll be a VR creative technologist or technical director. And it's like, okay, so
nice.
Just making stuff out of Unity and making builds and having a director and founder of the company check out all these daily builds on the project, and then I'll do lighting and texturing and animation editing and
nice.
Generalist type stuff.
So let me ask you a quick question. It's still on topic, but PlayStation VR versus Oculus Rift. Well, actually, first of all, what do you think of PlayStation VR if you have tried it?
I own one. I just don't use it that often.
Oh,
okay, so PlayStation VR, I like it. I like it a lot. I think there's a lot of good content on PlayStation VR that people should try. I tried not the Blood and Truth. I want to play that one, but I played the one before that, which is like a London heist VR where you're in the freeway and you're in a bank robbery. That was pretty cool. And there is, and a lot of the content that's on the Rift can also be played on the PlayStation VR as well.
Okay. So
it's good for people who already own the console and want to go straight and play Skyrim or Fallout. They have the PlayStation, so they'll just pay a little bit more money to get a VR headset, which is basically buying another TV set, which is why it's like $200.
Yeah.
And you're wearing a TV set, but has tracking. And you're in the world. So, but with the Oculus Rift, you can plug it into your PC. And, people who love PC customization and want to have the highest specs and love gaming and find PC to be the master race, then they can use the Rift. Those people. But the Rift is great if you're not only an enthusiast and fan of VR, but also if you're a creator, you want to try and make your own VR stuff. The Rift is great too. With the PlayStation VR headset, it's more consumer. So yeah, it's just perfectly placed with that. But the Rift, for customization and flexibility, the Rift might be better. And then on you're just a gamer who just wants to love, and you love PlayStation and you love the content, the exclusive content on the PlayStation that you want to try that's not on the Rift, and PlayStation VR is the way to go. And then also the new Oculus headset came out, which has better tracking. It doesn't have any of the camera sensors that you have to place on the table, and so the tracking now on the Rift S is better than the PlayStation VR.
Is that the Oculus Link that's coming out, or?
Oculus Rift S is the one that has inside-out tracking. Okay. So you don't need external camera sensors to set up for VR to work. While the Vive and the previous version of Oculus, you still need to have the base station's lighthouses or the camera sensors. And with the PlayStation VR, you just need the camera, the webcam thing that you put on your TV.
Okay.
But the Quest is the one that has no wires. So
ooh, I'm a little worried about
no
that.
Wires, no wires, and no need to hook the USB HDMI cables to your computer and get tangled up. And no sensors. So yeah, and that's my go-to headset right now at the moment, the Quest.
Okay, Quest. So what VR are you like? What VR games are you currently playing on the device? If you're playing
VR,
it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh man, Beat Saber.
Beat Saber. Ooh, really?
Yeah, Beat Saber. I need to download Asgard's Wrath, and I'm looking forward to playing that game, and I'm looking forward to playing Insomniac's new game called Stormland.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's the robot one. And yeah, Beat Saber is the my go-to game that I've been playing, and then sometimes I'll play apps or what was it? Sometimes I'll play VR Chat, Rec Room, Big Screen, and it's those types of games or apps are more social, so you can like meet people from around the world and see them in their avatars. So I really do enjoy that. I just get out, not outside real world, not get out in the real world, but get out in the virtual world. That's like Ready Player One, basically.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, clearly. So I do want to ask this question. It's good that you know about Ready Player One, but I think any gamer knows about that movie. Do you think VR and like where do you see VR at 3 to 5 years? Like, do you think, and then not just 3 to 5 years, but overall, do you think VR will reach that point of Ready Player One, or will it be like Quest World from Johnny Quest Adventures, which is basically just, you put on the headset and your mind is doing the movement, but your body is just sitting still? Or for those that don't know Johnny Quest Adventures, I guess I could say Black Mirror, the episode where like the guy had the device that let him play as a Street Fighter character. Like if you don't know
Johnny Quest,
or for those that seen VR Troopers like ourselves, which is hopefully we get the suit and we can just like go into the computer and then just face like I don't think that'll happen, but that'd be kind of nice.
Oh yeah. So Johnny Quest, I know the one in the 90s, which was VR, like and computery. Like, how did that go from Johnny Quest 1960s? What was he like? Kind of like a kid out going on at adventures, and it was like Scooby Doo. But there was no mention of VR or computer stuff in that 1960s show. And then all of a sudden they go into that. Which they'll probably do that with every show this year.
You got to remember, he's rich. Johnny Quest was rich because of his dad. So it was just logical that they would have the best computers from that time and then just build an imaginary. Like, they did a horrible job explaining how Questworld was built. They just had Questworld linked up to everything. But it was just interesting because
it's a good concept, and I like the theme song to it.
I do too, which is why I mentioned
it's like really epic. But yes, Ready Player One. Yeah, I saw that movie. I read a little bit of the book, and yeah, I think it's already kind of, you can see the stepping stones that's climbing up the incline is going to reach to that point. And like I saw Facebook was doing all these cool things with avatars and tracking, and how now when you're on the VR headset, it creates this realistic face, avatar face that can track your eyes and track your mouth and everything and all your emotions very accurately. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty much, if not like Ready for One, but even better.
Ooh,
soon.
okay.
You could, yeah, because it can not only because it can track your face pretty accurately. Imagine like having another person wearing the VR headset, but they look real and they have all this high fidelity facial movements and structures. And then when you're at the current state right now with like VR chat, it tracks if you have the controllers, it tracks your hands. It tracks your fingers. Like pretty soon you don't need the controllers. It'll just know where your hand is, and you'll be controller free and just track your hands and fingers and track your foot. You like now with like all the VR arcades like Dreamscape, like, or all the other like the Void, like you put these markers on your foot and hand so that it can track your hip, foot and movements, but you have all this like weird straps on your body. Well, pretty soon you're not going to need straps on your foot or on your hand. It's just going to detect that that's a skeleton, that's your skin, that's your foot. Well, I don't know how it would track your foot, but without the marker. But well, who knows? I mean, I remember
exactly.
10 years ago, you had the Kinect, and it was able to track your skeleton body. And so that same infrared dual depth sensor technology is in our phones and on headsets. And I mean, it could have been pushed even further from that point, but things were, I guess, a little slow because people were like, "Oh, how would people use this in their everyday lives first before using it in entertainment, or gaming?" But it's like the Face ID, face shift. But yeah, I know a lot of the tech companies putting a lot of research into creating what the next step is, and it's really getting really, really close. So, yeah, I think we're pretty much almost there. So
I know you're going to be a part of that project. When you do, all I ask is, can you make me the chosen one, and I can find like the puzzle and solve it, and then manage to control the whole entire VR space. I would love to do that. I think I would do a wonderful job controlling VR space. If you do, because I know you're going to work on that project. I would like to be the chosen one.
I was kind of working on a project like that. Secret, but okay. Everybody wants to feel like they're the chosen one, and like I know a lot of games and books make us feel like we're very special, and that's the heart of the experience. So for sure, I will definitely continue making that.
All right, well, you heard it here, folks. She's gonna make me the chosen one. Hopefully, I'm the chosen one from Kung Pao. I want a talking tongue in my mouth. I want that type of chosen one ability.
Yeah.
So, of course, like, now that we've been talking about your wonderful career and your prowess and how you've really been a workaholic, but a great type of workaholic, and managing to achieve your dream, has that affected your social life at all? Or were you able to maintain a good balance of like, let me follow my passion and, hey, friends, how you doing?
That's a good question. A lot of my friends actually work in the industry or do what I do.
Nice.
So I know that once I finish a project, like once this gets done, then I can go out and do a lot of things and catch up on games and movies. So that's right now I'm at this point. Like the last week is just like, I gotta coming up with more ideas, and like I gotta finish this game design document or this script and yada yada. So once it's like, all right, set my deadlines. I wish I could perfect it more, but art is never finished but only abandoned, and that's true for everybody. So but I do allow myself to have free time because having breaks is very important. I don't
Agree.
And yeah, I get that the whole achieving for greatness and making sure it's perfect is very important for me. But yeah, I try not to work myself to death. I always make sure that every project I work on is meaningful and has heart and purpose, and rather than like, oh, just do whatever pays. So, but like yeah, it's I've been able to still have free time to go out and go to like friends events, and so yeah, it's always been a good healthy balance. So
Okay. So I got like, I think this will probably be like the last big question, and then I have like one more, well, two small ones. But so I've heard quite a few of your interviews and read a few of your stuff, and I know that you're mostly into the VR for the aspect of being able to storytell. In fact, you even said that earlier in this wonderful discussion that we've been going through. So I know you want to go into creating a cinematic experience for us in the VR world. Are you working on that now? And if you are, great. You don't have to tell us what the project is, but like,
am I working on something like that? Or?
Yeah. And then ultimately, is that your end goal for yourself? Do you see yourself working on something that will be so amazing, like a story so well made that you can just make the person be like, wow, holy crap? Or, like, are you making a BioShock experience story-wise, or The Last of Us story-wise type thing for the VR world?
Yeah, I'm doing both. I'm working on both.
Nice.
Because I know that the whole VR thing, the adoption has been a little slow, but I am doing a couple of projects that are very cinematic-esque in terms of how the story is told and the production value of combining acting, performance, and sound and lighting, art direction, and so that creates all these different moods and feelings within an experience, whether it's just interactive or passive, but most importantly interactive and with agency. So yeah, I am doing a couple of projects that are like that, but I also do think it is important to have a good story in a game or a VR experience, and sometimes game developers don't really have that much of a background, and so sometimes they'll get it in-house, or sometimes they'll hire a professional writer to write the game, or they'll get someone who's already had experience with game design or narrative design and is learning some chops through reading books or taking classes or whatever. But yeah, it is something that I've always been passionate about. Before, even while I was a gamer, I also really enjoyed movies and how they made the movies, and always wanted to be like Steven Spielberg. Would have been really nice.
Wow.
Like that. Like, yeah, like everybody wants to be like, or a lot of people who have that dream of like working in film, are like, I want to be like Spielberg. So it's like is what they really mean. It's like, I want to create what he creates, as far as like, the people touching people's hearts, or going through that amazing experience of that character, or the empathy for the character and seeing it through their eyes. And so in a game, you don't have to. You still have to like build up to that empathy and seeing the world through their eyes. And so, but you get that same visceral experience in a game. I like the convergence of that and interactivity and agency, or at least, yeah. So, yeah, that's definitely what I want to continue doing, is seeing that the heart of those emotions in games.
Okay. Ooh, man, we definitely need that right now. So you would definitely be a breath of fresh air in that department. All right. So let me go into the last bit of questions because I know, I don't want to take too much of your time, and even though I do have like a whole bunch, I don't want to take too much of your time.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see as your definition of success? Like, what is your end goal? I guess that's what I want to ask. Like,
okay. My end goal is to just is to get the projects that I want to share with the world just out of my chest and out of my mind, and just release it and share it with the world, and continue like continue creating these types of projects, whether it's just me running it and having other people direct or write, and just creating that atmosphere and ecosystem of just trying to change the industry with the content that's already been told, and just like continuing doing that type of work, and having people seeing these types of experiences or stories and worlds at a different perspective in ways that haven't been done before. And so just keep creating and doing what I love. And yeah, just as long as the stories or ideas that I have out of my head are like, just keep creating until I don't have any more ideas. But being able to like do it, doing it for a living, and like you can keep proving people that you can do this stuff for a living, and that it's they should just continue following the passion, and been able to do that. And so so just continue creating more passion projects. So.
Okay, that's crazy that your end goal is nearly similar to mine's with how I'm trying to do the Chronicles of Gamers podcast and everything. So it's just like I definitely want to reach the hearts of others and try to, but this isn't my take on this time, but I just found it interesting that, like, wow, man, so scary. Last but not least, what tips would you have, or what path do you think people who are interested in VR gaming and motion capturing, like, what can they do to get themselves in the door, like you have achieved?
If you starting off with zero knowledge or just 100% passion and curiosity, you could just, if self-teaching is really, really difficult to motivate yourself, then you just try taking a class, or don't going to school, or finding a community of people who want to make the same type of stuff as you, and start collaborating and creating projects. I learned a lot of stuff off the internet. So the internet is, if you are curious and want to begin teaching yourself, there's YouTube, there's Lynda, there's Pluralsight. I learned through Pluralsight, and any resources. There are books, whatever stuff you can get your hands on and learn it. The software, it's already there on the website, Unity or Autodesk. If you want to just download Unity, it's free. They have tutorials, they have documentation. Maybe find if there's a meetup group or something where they might have some workshops or classes, or just general meetup groups. If you want to need to, and just find people. I like the actors on my last project met each other because they wanted to learn how to do motion capture, or become a performance capture in that sense. And so the project that I've done wouldn't have been possible if Richard Dorton if he never put together the mocap bolts. Then I would have never had my project, because all the actors were from the workshops that Richard taught, and because people were curious, they want to get in and perform on different projects related to gaming or VR. So, and just like films, games is just a a mock of all these different talents and backgrounds and skill sets. And Chase is also part of the audio game design community. You'll find a lot of talented people with different backgrounds and skill sets. But yeah, even on an indie level, just you can still learn about the little different the different elements of making a game, similar to how you would make a movie, but you just it's more intimate with you in the software, and just like you can just create proxy prototypes and make things. It's totally possible. Just download the software, Unity, and if you want to get into motion capture, well, I mean, I taught myself just using the software and using Connect. So Connect has Azure Connect version 3, and I think the Intel RealSense might be able to do machine capture. So actually, also now the iPhone and iPad iOS 13 now does motion capture. So look for certain software that is very pro democratization, that supports indie developers. I think iClone now creates digital characters now. It also does motion capture and facial capture. So iClone is another software if you're in super indie. So I don't think I've ever used that software, but I know people who have and have come up with great results. So, and there's also Unreal Engine, which is another great engine. I've also used that in the past as well, and playing around with it. And they're pretty supportive of the learning and indie dev community, as well as the commercial and successful ones. So yeah, there's I think that's what's great, because I know people back in the 90s and even further out wish they had that, and they didn't have that, and now they're like, man, I wish I had that opportunity that I had back in 80s or 90s. And now it's possible. So yeah.
Of course. Man. Wow. All right, Veronica. First of all, I would like to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for this very informative.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to call it an
Thanks
interview.
for having me on the podcast.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right. So now we're at the time of the show where we got to say goodbye. But before we leave, it's time for shameless plugins. For those unaware, shameless plugins is basically where you self-promote. You talk about any projects, any activities, anything you're doing, want to promote your social media, all of the above, man. Because it's shameless plugin time, man. So, Veronica, I'll let you go first. Well, pretty much all guests go first.
Okay. So, just to talk about like projects I'm working on right now.
Talk about whatever your heart desires. Promote your social media. Let the people know where they can find you, what to look forward to, man. Like, this is your time to shine.
So you can follow me through my Instagram, Twitter, and my Twitter is Corvenia, Corveni. And my Instagram is also Corvenia, but it's with the Flint at the end. So Corvenia Flint. So it's an anagram for Veronica. I'm also, but yeah, you can see my updates and posts through there. And but yeah, currently I'm working on a couple of secret stuff. Chimerica Era is still being developed into an even larger experience. It's going to be expanding even more. But I'm also working on a couple of games here and there. So you'll see what comes next when I make some announcements. So yeah.
Alrighty. Then of course the Chronicles of Gamers. You can follow us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher. We're no longer on Acast. Unfortunately, I don't know what the problem was there, but F them. And yeah, man, we're also on Twitch, the Chronicles of Gamers Show. Just follow us all the time, man. Check out earlier episodes. You know, we're here. We're here for you guys. Oh, Veronica, I got a quick question to ask before we dip out. Episode 9. What did you think of the trailer?
Oh, I thought it was pretty good. I don't really remember much from it. I think I remember,
Uh-oh. Come on.
you know, I saw the trailer like 2 days ago, and I don't actually remember much from it.
Damn.
I'm not really, this sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. I remember the first trailer more than the second trailer. The first trailer was really cool.
What was the first trailer?
When she's jumping over the Kylo Ren's ship, but I don't
remember that one.
I don't remember the. I only saw because I saw the trailer once and that was it. I guess from what I've gathered, how I reacted to the trailer, I'm prepared to watch it and see what happens. Like, I'm not too excited because I am, which is funny because I am a Star Wars fan, but yeah, and maybe it's because it's just my mind blocking it out, and maybe I want to just be surprised and not be spoiled too much, which is good. So, but I am looking forward to seeing the movie. Like, I actually wanted to like find ways to get tickets on advance sales, because it is going to be coming out almost a month, 2 months from now.
Oh yeah, December.
So I am going to see it for sure, just to see how it ends. Everybody wants to see how it ends, right?
Of course.
But yeah, I know Palpatine is back. I think, or it sounds like him.
Which I'm mad about, but I won't go into discussion. I'm just curious because I've had I'm talking to one of my friends about it, and I don't know. I just felt like asking because I was just like, I mean, it was memorable, but the trailer wasn't like super memorable. I'm like, yo, it would have been nice to seen a little, like actually seeing Palpatine. Maybe I would have been more excited, but I don't know.
I think you'll see him. He'll probably look like a corpse or a zombie or something. I don't know.
Right. All I know is, why is he alive, but Mace Windu is dead? I'm just saying. How do you survive being electrocuted, but Mace Windu got electrocuted and thrown off a building with no arms? And Darth Maul is alive after being cut. You know what? Let me not get into my Star Wars logic.
Well, Luke Skywalker was also... So maybe he jumped off the bridge as well and survived.
Nah,
with
man.
his arm cut off.
Luke is dead.
Well, now he's dead. But before, he was able to... in Empire Strikes Back.
Well, okay, you know, that's because of the physics and the geometry and the thermodynamics of gravity affected the force mechanics with the metachlorian count. So that's how. So, you know.
It's Star Wars. It's really a fantasy. It's not real. It's just. It's not even. It's little sci-fi, but it's more fantasy. So.
But it reaches the hearts of others, which is what you'll be doing.
You know, I actually found the video where a deepfake version of George Lucas reacting to the trailer was more memorable than the trailer itself.
Really?
Yeah. Did you see the video where George Lucas, it's not really him, but it's a guy that sounds exactly like him, and but they deepfake George Lucas's face on this actor and he's like, this is gonna be great because I'm not gonna be blamed for it, and it's that was I remember that more than the actual movie trailer, which is kind of sad, but I kind of want to see that again instead of.
Nah, I gotta find that link now. Wow.
Yeah, just search George Lucas reacts to the Star Wars trailer, and yeah. So, but I'm still gonna see it. I'm gonna see it, and I'm gonna like, yeah, this is great. Let's go to Star Wars Land to celebrate.
You hear that, gamer composer? I want to go to Star Wars Land, man.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just went there recently, and yeah, it's lots of fun to go with a group of friends. So.
All right. Well, Veronica, I would like to thank you for coming on to the podcast. Thank you so much. Dropping that knowledge and insight and wisdom, and of course, that last minute Star Wars memorable moment. Of course. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. I am out of here. We are out of here. I'm going to go look for this trailer of George Lucas, well, quote unquote, George Lucas talking shit. Besides that, stay lit, guys.
Bye, everybody.